Yes, welcome to another episode of 27th Letters podcast. My name is Lanry Onigbinde Bay. Today, it's a special guest that's in the house, L.A. Wade, the media mogul, the writer, the director, you know what I mean? The mother, the sister, the friend, you know, all the accolades that's coming our way. You guys going to hear about it. Like, she's just a great person where I don't know what point she's kind of seeped into my life.
I can tell you.
Tell me.
We were at Rise. It was at a different book list.
Okay.
And you were feeding everybody.
Oh yes. I
was like, what is this? This is amazing.
You know what's crazy? Ironically, I'm rocking my Rise hat today.
Oh shoot!
You know what I mean? You see the synchronicity?
Yo,
so it's
big
all
up
good.
to Rise for real.
Oh yeah!
They
shout out
brought
to
a lot of us
Randall.
together. Yeah,
shout out to Randall and the whole staff at Rise. You know. But yeah, so from then she became a client of mine because you guys already know I moonlight as a chef. You know, a little vegan chef. Meal prep catering service that I do, so she became one of my clients, and ever since then we've just been rocking, you know. And she's been blessed. She supports me like 100%. You know, even like if she can't make something, she lets me know, which is something I appreciate. Sometimes we send a message to somebody about something you might have, like they just ignore you. You know what I mean? It's good to hear they say, "Hey, I can't make it, but I'm gonna do this." You know what I mean? I know you're always looking out. I appreciate you. I really do. You know, like you've been a great friend, and you know, a real, like when you talk about group economics, you know, she's one person that she's talking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She lives it. You know what I mean? She's always including, like even with her movie that we're going to talk about that she did. She contracted me to do
to feed her.
Yeah, the craft service for that. So that was great. You know, got my name on the big screen too. 5 principles for seniority. You know, you're large and in charge now.
You deserve it. You deserve
but for real, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get right into it. Right when we start, I usually start with who's your mother. By the way, I seen her mother at the premiere of her movie. It was such a beautiful moment. Oh my God. That was a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
But we start with your mom because that's where everything starts from.
Interesting.
So, who's your mother?
So my mother's name, her maiden name is Jean Kathleen Antoine. Do you want me to look at you?
It don't matter. No, it don't matter. It don't matter.
Yeah, I want to include people in the conversation.
Yeah, you can
right?
go back and forth.
Okay, cool. So Jean Kathleen Antoine is her name. Her married name is Wade, which is where I got my last name.
Okay.
She comes from the tiny island of Grenada in the West Indies.
Okay.
She lived on the mountain in Montjaloux, which means jealous mountain. Grenada looks like Jamaica. God, all the Grenadians are going to be like, what? Ripping their clothes. But to me, yeah, relax. I've been to both. Listen, I've been to both places, and it literally looks like they took Jamaica like this and put it down. It's a beautiful island, and so is Jamaica. And both my mother and my father come from there. But my mom came here to Canada in 1962.
By herself? As
a domestic. So they had this whole plan on how to break, just like how they have the Filipinos coming to be nannies. Mm-hmm. Back in the 60s, they had the black women from the Caribbean coming here to be the domestics. They were the nannies of the day.
Okay.
And my mom became a nanny for this Jewish woman who said to her, you know, yes, I have you here as my nanny, but I think it's important for you to go to school. And so she made sure that my mom's schedule was such that she could go to school while she was still being this woman's nanny. And so, you know.
That's blessed right there. Yo.
Yeah.
That's blessed right there. Yo, see, the world runs with this illusion of race and so on and so forth. Like, bro, there's good people out there no matter what their background is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When you come face to face, like I'm an educator, so I did a paper once that talked about this I think it was a Jewish theorist. His name was Emmanuel Levinas. Mm-hmm. And he said when you're face to face with someone, all of those bigotries cease to exist.
I learned that in prison, you know, like I had to deal with so many people from different walks of lives, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Close proximity, so it's like I got to learn, like, yeah, everybody's just human. Man.
Exactly.
Everybody's just human. Everybody wants the same type of thing. You know, you have some loose screws, loose cannons out there, but for the most part, everybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, and that is so true. And when you're a good person, you're a good person, and other people who are good also recognize that. And that's not to distract from the fact that racism is real. There's systemic racism. There are things that make people feel a certain way and are placed in a certain tier of society.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
But in all, we are the same people,
Yeah.
and it is all love.
Yeah.
So my mom became a psychiatric nurse just down the street here at it was called Lakeshore Psychiatric Hospital.
Okay.
It's now Humber College.
Okay.
But they turned Lakeshore Psychiatric Hospital into Queen Street Mental Health Center, which is now CAMH. So CAMH started at Lakeshore, and my mom was there for over 30 years as a psychiatric nurse. She had papers written about her, and she was, a highlight of what she did in her own space.
She must have experienced some wild stuff.
Guy, I could tell you some stories, right?
That's for another time.
That is for another time.
Yeah,
but this woman, my mom, she worked her ass off, and she feels a lot of guilt around the things that happened to me when I was younger, because she wasn't there to protect me.
We're going to get into that.
Yeah. Well, you said to start with my mom.
No. We're going to get into that. We'll get into that.
So there was a lot of bumpiness in the beginning. She's a beautiful person. She cares. I learned a lot of how I give love from my mom. And she taught me about God in a way that has, she's Catholic. I don't get it. But she introduced God to me, and it created that relationship for me, and that's what's carried me through all of what I've been through. So I love my mother.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So at what point did your dad come up to?
So my dad, rest in peace or power. He transitioned in 2014.
Okay.
He was 77.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a little older than my mom. But anyway, so my dad, he was an interesting man. The Papa was a Rolling Stone kind of thing. That was my father. So I have 10 brothers and sisters.
Bro, back in the days, it's not technology. I don't know how mans could be cheating nowadays, yo. But back in the days, a man could literally just leave his family and go to a car to start a whole new life across the town.
Well, this is what happened.
Because it was like everything seemed like so distant, you know what I mean? Back then, it's crazy.
My dad was very charming. When I talk about the sex addict, it was to come from him. Because he was a...
Well, your mom's not claiming it.
No, my mom's not claiming it. She doesn't claim it because she was what you would consider a good woman, right? So that's in there. But I also saw how my dad moved, and he used to take me with him everywhere when I was little. He would take me so that my mom would get the break, but really he was just using me as the decoy to go check other women.
How old were you at that point?
Oh my gosh, this has been since I was 5 years old.
So at that point, did you catch on to what was going on?
Only after he left. So he left when I was around 9, 10. And he had a heart attack in his 40s.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, I'm tired of this effing country, meaning Canada. He's going to go back to Grenada. He's also from Grenada, from a small fishing village called Guave.
Okay.
And that's where all the real men come from.
Okay.
Big up to Guave.
Okay. That's
right?
a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he had the heart attack, and he wanted to go back to where he came from, and that's what he did. And so my mom would send money to him. She was working 3 jobs.
He essentially just left your mom?
Yeah.
And said, I'm out?
He said he was going for a short period of time. But by the time I was 15, I was like,
he's not forwarding back.
This guy's not coming back.
That's cold. I'm going for milk. I'm going to get some milk.
Right? In our communities, our families, we don't talk about that kind of thing. We just kind of
That's abandonment.
Left. Yeah, it's called abandonment. So when you go into relationships, that shit comes back to haunt you.
Well, I've been going through it since I've been home, just, you know what I mean? Being in the relationship I have with my empress, it's a lot of stuff that I have to unpack and so on and so forth.
Constantly.
You know what I mean? So,
my whole thing is I always tell people that healing is not a destination. It's a living process. My living is my healing now, because I'm not going to arrive somewhere at healing. Anything could trigger me at any moment, so I have to constantly be holding myself accountable to where I am and what I'm doing, so that I can move forward.
You gotta be present, yo.
Yeah,
you gotta be present.
100%.
You can't be on some NPC, non-player character out here. You gotta present. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you pretty much, like your body's a ship.
Pretty much,
You operate in a ship, and if you know, people are dead. There's people doing years in prison, suffering from whatever, just because they mental lapse.
Yeah.
Mental lapse in judgment. Mental lapse in judgment.
Mental lapse in judgment, and we're labeling so many of our people as mentally ill. Mm-hmm. But how do you live in a world like this and not have some type of mental breakdown?
You have to live in this world. Come on, that's a prerequisite to live in this world.
Yeah.
You gotta be a little.
I have a lot of melancholic moments because I'm joyful, I'm full of love and full of light and all of those things, but I can't fully have full joy when I'm face to face with what other people are
You're in the
struggling
field.
with.
You're in the battlefield. You're in the field. It's like, you ain't no trying to keep your shoes clean in the battlefield.
You know what I mean?
Like, what are you trying to do?
Exactly.
Let's be real.
I like that. I like that.
Let's be real. So, did you have any siblings? So, your dad came up and...
Yeah, so it's wild. It's wild. My dad. Let me start with
summarize it.
Summarize is right here. My dad started off in England as a pimp. Met a white woman and fell in love with her. He wanted to marry her and had a child with her, my first brother. My grandmother in Grenada found out and was like, nope, and pulled him back to Grenada. When he went back to Grenada, he met a Grenadian woman, this wonderful woman named Norma, and she had Susan, Sonia, Sandra, and Sherry with him. Then he cheated on her, went to Canada, met my mother, who had a daughter with somebody else, a white man who told her that...
This is up here she had.
Yeah,
okay.
And then sent the baby to Grenada to get raised. That happens a lot, where the child gets born here, but the mothers are trying to work and they can't raise a child. They can't have a family.
Supports back home.
Right, so you have to, but it does a lot of damage to the child.
For sure.
Has to go home, right? Abandonment again.
Come on.
But so all of that happened. But while my mom was married with my they wasn't even married, they were together, and she sent for them, the sisters, my Susan, Sonia, Sandra. Sherry was too young, so she stayed. Mm-hmm. But she brought them up here. So I was raised with my siblings, and he cheated on my mom when she was pregnant with me. So I have a brother in Nova Scotia who's like the same age as me. I was born in October, he was born in February. And then after that... 4 years after that, he cheated on her again with the same woman, and so they have a brother. I'm kind of like a single child, really, from my mom and my dad. Nobody else came from them.
Wow.
But that's what I meant by my mom is very loving. So she allowed for us to know who we were, and she made sure that
she wasn't resentful. She didn't hold it against your dad.
She didn't hold it against the kids. I'm sure she had resentment towards my father.
No, but you have some people who hold it like, from their perspective, they're so upset with their partner that they take it out on the children.
Yeah, no.
And whatnot,
she did the most to make sure that we all felt loved. Like all of these children aren't hers, but they all call her Auntie Jean, and they would kill for my mom.
Excellent.
So
you
that's
got
where I get the love.
So you got a big clan with you, yo.
Yes, we have a big clan. I'm not really close to my family because, everybody ran away from home. I don't want to explain their life for them because it's not my right to do so, but there's reasons why we all left. Mm-hmm. And I myself left when I was 16 years old and just tried to figure out how to make it in this world, even though I wasn't necessarily raised by someone. Yeah,
So how was your grades in school?
My grades?
Yeah.
I was
from
an
elementary
average,
school to high school.
Well, in elementary school, I was really dedicated. I loved to learn. I was also I didn't read that much. I was a TV kid because I was a latchkey kid. So I'd come home from school. Everything was about TV. Yeah. On the weekends, cartoons. Saturday morning cartoons. Yeah. No one can touch me with Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes. It taught me all about so many things. Right? Yeah. And so that I wasn't a big reader, but I was a big experiencer. So like I was forced to experience life from very, very young. So,
especially with your dad bringing you around when he's trying to creep and stuff like that.
So when you have a lot of experience, what people don't realize is they think that they don't belong in higher institutions of education, but you actually do because your experience is a form of learning. It's a form of
lived experience.
Exactly.
Lived experience.
There's narratives all around you, and it's informing you of how you see and what you see, and how you understand the world around you. So I've had that privilege, and media and popular culture teaches us so many things
for sure.
about the state of where we are and what we're going through.
Sure, and it manipulates a lot too. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's been weaponized in many ways now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because like, the freedom of speech is not really free now.
Oh, let's not even go there.
You know?
That's a whole other kettle of fish.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I was a great student in a sense, in that I.
What about high school?
High school became mucky because I had to go and work to just get away from where I was.
Okay.
So I worked a lot and tried to maintain school. Didn't end up finishing high school. I think I was a half a credit shy of doing that. So it wasn't until I was 31 that I went through the transitional year program at the University of Toronto.
Oh, wow.
And I got they give you credits towards your degree. They don't give you high school equivalency, but you're doing courses on a university level that gets you there. And once you get through, you go on to do your degree. So I did my transitional year, my undergrad, and then eventually my master's in education, sociology, in equity studies. And it changed my whole life.
Okay, shit, girl.
Yeah,
Let them know.
yeah. It blew my mind.
Before we go on to what you did scholastic-wise, I just want to touch on how, like, what was like your home life like in those early years, like when you said early teenagers, you said everybody left the house. What's the reason? Why did you have to leave or felt like you had to leave?
Well, I was abused as a child by many members of the family, and we would rely on family friends a lot to help take care of each other's children.
Because so much.
Well, back then, there weren't these social programs like, oh, we're going to enroll her in this and enroll her in that. You're trying
just at home.
They're trying. That's why we're in front of the TV all the time. So sometimes when she had to work overnight shifts or whatnot, I'd have to go to family friends' homes, cousins' homes, and I don't know. There was a proclivity in a lot of men that liked younger women and young girls, children, and it's funny that I'm saying it like that.
How early do you remember this?
My first memory of inappropriateness was when I was 5.
That's wild.
Yeah, I was 5. I would say a lot of touching and.
At what point did you were like, okay, this is not right, and at what age did you like? Okay.
If you want me to go really into it, I would say that when I was 11, I was gang raped.
That's crazy.
And I had to have an abortion in Detroit because you weren't allowed to do that here in Canada. And I remember that. I remember driving towards Detroit along the 401, just watching the car, the what are those poles called? The electrical poles, just count. Yeah, the light, not even the light, the electricity poles. Okay. And I remember counting how many beats I could get between the two poles. When I was in Detroit, like mind you, I'm like 11 years old.
Yeah, that's wild. Like, who's driving you to Detroit?
It was my mom and my uncle.
So they knew what happened.
Well, yeah, and that was a crazy thing too because.
Did Mass get charged for this? Did you?
Well, this is the thing. This is where the deterioration of my life started to really like run amok. Is that my mom was very sensitive about the system that we live in, and that she was aware that if she puts her daughter in the legal system to bring forth these charges against black men. This is where I started to realize that, I'm having a black female experience, but that we're also hyper aware of black male experience. And she knew that the legal system would not be kind to me, and they definitely wouldn't be kind to them. Not that she was like empathetic to the men that was doing that. She's just aware that the system was corrupt and that nobody was going to win.
It wasn't a solution that she saw. She didn't see it as a solution.
No, she did not see that as a solution.
And I could get where she's coming from. You know what I mean? "Quote unquote," black people. You know what I mean? That they're apprehensive about the system and whatnot. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
like as far as your mom goes, I mean, like if we're not going to go that route, then we must be going the next other route. You feel what I'm saying? Like somebody's going to get hurt really bad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, in a way, she did what she thought was right for me, and I guess she was, because here I am, right? Mm-hmm. But all of those experiences from so young, like my son is 11 years old right now, and I look at him all the time, and I'm like, it blows my mind that that's how young I was when that had happened. Like, I talk about it as if as if like I'm talking about somebody else, because it's so you separate from your body in a sense when those things go down for you.
Such a distant memory of
so
this
much
person that you don't feel familiar with anymore,
No.
but you know it's a real thing that you went through.
Yeah.
You know
And
what
I know
it's,
that
it's the
informs
same
me.
thing. It's like I got physically abused by my dad really bad when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
So looking back on those days, it's like I know I went through it, but it's sort of like, well, like I have no connection to that person at all, because it's like there's no way I could ever put myself in that position to be.
And you're such a loving father.
Like, it's crazy.
You know?
You know what I mean? So it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's true. So I think we do that to kind of disconnect so that we can keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
There's a book called The Body Keeps Count.
Oh.
So it's in our bodies. We know that it's happened. Our bodies know, even if we're not, if our mind's blocking it, our bodies know. Okay. So sometimes we have to trust what we're feeling inside, because we know that something happened to us that really wasn't right.
The trauma.
Yeah, the trauma. The trauma, it doesn't really go away. It stays with us.
Yeah. You just learn to live with it.
But in the same way we disconnect our body, our mind from our body, in a sense, to heal, you have to separate that in the opposite direction, so that you can train your mind to teach your body that, to bring back down your nervous system, because you're constantly wondering what's.
That's what I'm talking about. You got to be present.
Yeah, you got to be present.
Because you got to realize you're operating a ship.
Yeah.
And anything can happen, man. You could be spiritually strong as much as you want, but still, you got to make sure that your body's.
For sure.
You're not anxiety filled.
And you learn to take
nervous.
care of yourself. Mm-hmm. You learn through trial and error what's good, what's not good. And for me, I was learning errors over and over and over again.
You're amassing wealth of wisdom. That's what it is.
Yeah. But it's funny because I used to pray like fervently when I was young for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
I was the same way. I used to be like, I want wisdom like King Solomon.
Yeah, right? But you know what you need to have?
You have to
get
have experience.
And that's what
that's what set us off. We asked for it. It's been said that, even before we were born, we chose everything that happened to us. We chose our parents. This is the experience we want. It's just that on the way down to this level, to the third dimension, we forget. And then in our DNA is encoded messages that we need to tap into, and the best way to tap into is always being yourself. Being yourself. So that's when you tap into these encoded messages that lead you into the path, your path.
Mm-hmm.
You know
it builds so much resilience.
Yeah, it is, for sure.
I definitely built a lot of resilience.
So that experience at 11, how did it shape your self-worth and how you see sex and so on and so forth?
I was so insecure. I was so insecure as a child. And those I'm not an insecure person. Obviously, I do a lot of things that are out there, but I have insecurities that come from that time. I learned very early that in terms of sex, that it was important to men. They showed me that and I wasn't like you say. You talk about the physical abuse that and I endured mental manipulation and seduction. Even as a child. And so I could hear, I'm 11 or even younger than that, and I can understand what men need to hear or to understand. Like it really but with no concept of myself even. So I was detached. I was detached from a lot of the experiences that I had. I always considered the other person, because my mother was also a bleeding heart. She let all of these things happen.
It was more like you shutting off what you want. It's like, I'm just going to make you happy.
Yeah.
This is what you want. And
Exactly.
Make you happy.
Yes, because that kept the love around me, and I didn't know how to breathe without love. It felt like I was going to die without love.
So you were just trading that for that acceptance.
Yes, hence the sex addict.
Yeah.
The sexual addiction is not about actually.
Yeah, please get into that, because I don't want people to be on some low level whoring shit. Not like that.
No,
it ain't like that. There's a whole process of her going through the stages and where she's at now. Like, she's a woman sometimes when I'm dropping off food for her on Sundays, she's going to church and whatnot. Like, bro, just relax.
Thanks for co-signing me,
Like,
man.
relax. And we just talk about, you know what I mean?
Well, I also
somebody and whatnot.
Because of how much TV I watched, and like you learn marketing because there's so many commercials. So I also have this innate ability to market myself, and so calling myself a sex addict is really about, and it's an indictment on our society, because if you low-key understand yourself, you're all kind of driven by this carnality that is towards something else. Hence the movie is called Thirsty as Fuck, because we're all thirsting for something, and for the majority of it, it lends back to connection, belonging, love. And so the sex addiction came about where I recognized that I would do anything and everything for a man's love. And even though most of them took advantage of that, right? So I have a lot of painful stories, but I recognized that I was bartering sex for love because that's what I was taught. I was taught that to make a man happy, you give him the cookies. And so that's what I did. I gave them the cookies. But I wasn't also like in the streets. Like, I was more of a monogamous sex addict, in the sense that I've only ever really wanted one person. But then when that person would fail me or get the abandonment or the neglect that I experienced when I was younger.
You try to fill the void.
Yeah. And it was like a form of cutting, in a sense. Whereas like when I felt that emptiness, when I felt that pressure building up of the loneliness, not of the sexual urges, it was the loneliness that made me cut and accept so little, because I didn't think I could have what I have now, right? It's so different now than then. But I worked for that shit.
Sure.
I worked really hard for that shit.
I mean, like, you have a reason to be proud, you know what I mean, to keep your head up.
I do.
Because you did overcome a lot. Like, my empress, she works with abused women and children, and I hear the stories, and it's a vicious cycle for some women, you know what I mean, where they can't break the cycle, and it's like anything else that some people are fighting, you know what I mean, when it comes to these relationships that they have with men, with the men in their life.
But women abuse women too, and men abuse men, and it's all like, people abuse people at the end of the day if they can recognize that they can have gain over
For sure, because look at it in the workplace. It happens in the workplace too. You know what I mean? There's a lot of bullying going up in the workplace.
Oh my gosh, definitely. I felt disconnected from a lot of things growing up, and even in my platonic friendships, I would overgive. I would accept so little for their friendship and things like that, and
I suffered from that. I was just talking to a friend of mine just last night, where it's like, it took me a while to learn from this, because I always I'm not gonna I know myself. I know I have a good heart. You know what I mean? Regardless of what my heard about me or what I went through, I know I have a good heart.
You too.
But it took me. I struggled for so long to really learn that not everybody thinks like me. Like, that was a struggle for me, I had to hit my head on the wall a few times, get used and kicked down in all kind of ways, you know what I mean, for me to learn this, you know what I mean?
And when you get better, when you start to heal and you make different choices, sometimes the people that were a part of your life before, they don't really know how to change that. They still try to treat you the same way, but you no longer accept that for yourself, because you love yourself more. Your self-esteem has increased. You can't accept certain behaviors anymore. And so you lose. There's like this exodus of people from your life.
The self-love and mastery of self is a cheat code to this thing. And once you get that, it's like less is more. Meaning, when you were younger, like, all these friends and all, more jewelry, more clothes, more this. When you get to a certain point, you're kind of comfortable. You know yourself. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm at home chilling. I don't need to be in the club.
I'm telling you, right?
I'm chilling.
And for me, it was like, I'm so hard-headed that I had to learn all of that the hard way. When I say trials and errors, I mean like trials and errors. God literally had to grab people and throw them out of my life, and I would be on the floor bawling, because it's like an addict who's going through withdrawal, but everyone left.
You resisted the change. You were resisting the change.
Yeah, and it made it harder for me in the end. But ultimately, I know, not to be cliche, but that footsteps prayer is like that poem, 100% accurate. Where I thought I was abandoned again, he was just carrying me to where I needed to go.
When I was locked up, I had this book where I was just, first year I was locked up, I would just write every day just sayings that come to me, and one of them was that I remember that I read was like I lost it.
I love it. Even that happens. It's the weed.
but back to the old
When you were locked up, you said you were feeling that the most. Believe it.
Yeah.
Right? When it's supposed to come back,
yeah.
it will. Abandonment is real with the friends and feeling like he had to take everyone out of my life for me to recognize that being alone was actually the best thing that could happen to me.
Oh yeah.
Right? Oh yeah. And I resisted it at all costs. I did not want it. To this day, I was just saying goodbye to friends.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The more you resist, the more things persist, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like I had to learn to go with the flow. I had to surrender. That's what it was.
Yeah.
You had to surrender. Like I remember, I got to a point right before I went to trial, and I was just, back then I used to pray, and I still do, but it's just in a different format now. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, I'd be like, if these people that are supposed to care for me, whether it's the mother of my children, my daughter at that point, and friends and so on and so forth, if these people really do care for me, like, show me. You know what I mean? And then I didn't really like the answer, and the way that the universe showed me was like, okay, I'm gonna make you sit down for like 8 years and shit. And we're gonna see who's around for those 8 years.
That's real.
So you ask for it, I'm gonna show you. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I had a similar prayer where I was like, I keep fucking up. Like, what am I doing wrong? Because I'm trying to live right. I'm trying to do what I think is good. But I keep getting the same results. So I'm like, either it's them or it's me or something's going on. So I prayed the prayer of, show me what I can't see. I want to know. I know it's scary to see these things because sometimes we hide those things from ourselves on purpose to help us. But I was like pulling my hair out. I was like, I can't live like this anymore. Show me what I can't see. And slowly but surely, that's what happened. And that's what led to the first book, because I finally came face to face with self-accountability, personal responsibility, and not trying to blame the people that were interacting with me in my life. More so, I was like, if this is really a recovering sex addict, then let me share some of my healing with the people as I go through my experiences. And that's what the book turned out to be. I started right back where I lost my marriage. I was married for 16 years.
And that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. So at what point did you get married?
I was with him from 2002, and we separated in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. My oldest son was 8 months old when I met my ex-husband, and he's now 21, 22.
Okay.
So he was with us for that whole time, and by the time we were separating, he was a teenager, right? Mm-hmm. So it was traumatizing, because it was also during the most, that time of your life, your late 20s to 40, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that was my time. Mm-hmm. And I gave everything that I thought I was giving to this person. And that's
in your 20s, you went from, like, you still being promiscuous and so on and so forth, right?
So in the beginning, the early parts of 20s.
And then later on,
I was actually doing this workshop for kids called Blueprint for Life, mm-hmm. which was a hip hop edutainment thing where I would go to schools, I would bring on MCs, b-boys, graffiti artists, turntablists, and we would have school assemblies and talk to the people about, values and how to set up blueprints for your life based on values. Mm-hmm. And one of the break dancers, I fell in love with him. I was like, oh, this is my guy. And the reason why I love him. The reason why I fell in love with him was because he was the first man to defend me. So I was, that longing for who's going to help me, who's going to protect
knight in
me.
shining armor.
Right? But he was also broken.
Mm-hmm.
Love to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he became, so I married him, and 9 months after that, we had our son. Not 9 months after. 9 months after we got pregnant. Then 9 months after that, we had our son, and then our relationship was over. Because when you have children, a whole other set of emotions start to come out.
How long were you married?
Like, I was with him for like 18 months.
And then, so after that, and then you met your other
so
husband.
when my son was 8 months old, I went to Grenada. It's in the first part of the book. And I met my current ex-husband. And we were together till 2016.
And you had a son.
And we had a son I got pregnant 3 months before we were going to get married. And I had called off the wedding because I got a sense that something was going on behind my back. And so I threw my ring. I was like, this isn't happening. But then I'd been living with him for so long. We're a family. I couldn't rip that away from my son. At least I didn't think that I could. And so I got married regardless. And only for it to be over in 2016. So we had our son in 2012. And that was I don't know where the hell that kid came from, but he is amazing. Like both of my kids, they have that spiritual thing. You know, one's really quiet, the other one's more extroverted, but they have that vision.
Yeah, I met them.
They have that vision, especially the little one. He sees things because he's with me as I've healed, right? My older one wasn't raised by the person I am now. He still got the woman in transition. So I'm sure.
What do you mean by that? Like how do you think he sees you in that
I know he
transition?
loves me. I know he loves his mother, but you know I can't speak for black men. But I can see that black men have a very interesting relationship with how they see their mother, depending on how that mother is. And my family, everybody wanted to help raise my son. So I didn't have that one-on-one solo thing with just my son. So everybody kind of contributed. And I've always talked to him. He's always loved me. But it's more so I didn't get to teach him how to move. Because there were so many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many hands in the pot.
Yeah. And so it kind of handicapped him, I think.
You know what's crazy? Same person I was talking about yesterday, I was telling him, I don't know if you heard of Boosie.
Yeah.
Boosie.
Yeah.
So Boosie, he has 7 children.
The comedian, right?
No, the rapper.
Comedian? Oh, the rapper. Yes.
So he has 7 children, and he's got like 4 or 5 baby moms or something like that. And he posted the other day that he feels he's a failure as a man because none of his children live under his roof. And I agree with that, like big time. Like I feel like it's a disservice to have your children not living with you. That's why it's like for me, even as a younger person, I wasn't really too crazy about having a bunch of women pregnant because I don't see I can't be in 2 places at once. What I mean,
so this is
unless we living like that, with all the ladies, sister wives, that's how we live it.
Yeah, that's even better, right?
So, society nowadays, especially in the Western world, frown on that. So it ain't like that, you know what I mean? So it's a disservice.
I have a big grievance with that because I feel like the legal system really bends towards women in that situation, and so many of these men are being distanced from their children, and it's really unfair. It's something that bothers me quite a bit because no matter what I've gone through with both my exes, I can't even imagine trying to make it more difficult for my children to have a relationship with their father. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you're one of one.
And when I found out that was rare,
I'm gonna tell you, one of one. It's like people weaponize their children.
Yeah,
they weaponize
I've heard
their children. It's just nasty out there. Like, you know what I mean? That's even like even my empress I'm with now. Like I could see. You know what I mean? Like push comes to shove or whatever we gotta, whatever. I know for a fact that we're gonna make it work, whether we're together or not.
For sure, no, 100%.
And I rate that with you and your ex-husband, you know, because he was there
Both my exes were there.
Oh yeah, he was the other one.
I don't have a problem with my ex-husbands.
Okay.
They know each other.
Okay.
I made sure that everybody knows one another. We're not secrets.
There's a transparency.
Will kill. Yes, the secrets will kill your whole family.
Well, you're at a point you ain't got nothing. You can't hide nothing. You put it in print.
And that's the other thing. Like my ex-husband's written about in the prologue of my first book, and I read it to him first, and then I also showed him the movie first, and I said I would really love you to be there. And so he knows my heart. He knows that this is all. There's none. It was all circumstantial. He recognizes what I've gone through. He apologized, and I apologized back. So when you get that kind of true sincerity, tell each other you're sorry. Like, stop it.
That second marriage lasted a long time. What brought it to the end?
I think that as I grew, I think I expected more of the man that I was with than he was maybe at the place to give. I don't know what his journey was, right? But I was at a place where I needed more from my husband, and being somebody who did have a relationship with God and intimately reads the Bible, the Quran, and many other books of spiritual books, I know that him as my husband could have been different towards me and could have been there for me. Like, I'm doing books, I'm doing these. That woman still existed then, but I was non-existent because I did everything for him. And I think that if he had poured into me a little bit more and supported me, who knows?
There was an imbalance.
There was an imbalance. There was people very competitive for some reason. I don't understand when people are competitive in their relationships.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it happens.
What?
It definitely happens.
Bills are paid? Okay. Put the money together. Is the bills paid?
But this is the thing.
That's all I care,
Yeah, but I mean, people have different experiences.
Keep score and whatnot. If you're in a relationship and you're keeping score, then there's an end game.
This is the thing.
If you're keeping score in a relationship, there's an end game for that person, You know what I mean? So that's a red flag.
And the minute that I could smell that his attention was even weaker than when we got married, and it started to really diminish, and then I started to feel like something's not right, I, with my abandonment and neglect, and I say it with an understanding that it sounds like an excuse, but it's not that I'm being abandoned, so I'm going to go do this. It's an experiential thing that unfolds while you're in relationship with other people. So we're talking, something triggers me, so I'm starting to feel, and I don't have you to talk to. If I don't have you to talk to, that feeling, that thought is going to keep brewing inside of me, and it's distancing us, and we don't address it. Because maybe that person doesn't know themselves. Maybe they don't know how. But for some reason, it wasn't meant to be. And so I had to get to a place of peace about that. I have 2 black boys, and I recognize that I can be a part of their life, but they need their black fathers to help them know how to be black men. And the other thing that I purposely did, where you've met Jason and Mike Truth, and these are men that I surround myself with for my boys. It's not about me. They're around me, yes, but they're really there for my children. And then I got friendship with black men out of it. You know what I mean? I learned how to have male friendships opposed to male interactions that were leading to something different than what it could be. We stop ourselves from having friendships with people because of that sexual energy. But you gotta hold yourself accountable to what it is.
Listen, man, I feel sorry for these children growing up nowadays because it was not like tomboys. You could be a tomboy and hang with a man, you know what I mean? Nowadays, everything's frowned upon. Yeah. A girl could be a tomboy to be the gender neutral, some madness. They're that's just a tomboy. We grew up. Remember those girls? Baseball hat, come on, man. And they grew up.
I have a baseball hat on. Yeah. I play sports.
They're confusing. They're complicating and confusing the children nowadays with their little agendas, man. It's crazy. You can't keep it simple anymore.
And then see that, and then what happens is, if there is an agenda, let's go under what you're saying. There's an agenda. When you're somebody who is growing up trying to understand yourself, and the society is telling you about, you can be whatever you want. You can identify as wolf. You can identify as this. It's just kind of like we're already having a hard time just being
Bro.
a regular person, much less.
One thing I know for sure is like I'm a spiritual person having a human experience.
We all are.
But then they start putting all this other stuff in front of you. And then you forget that you're human. And then that's where people get lost. That, people, all this, whether it's nationality, whether it's status, whether it's your height, whether it's the tone of your skin, whether it's all this other madness.
It's exhausting, but we have to make space for where people are. Because if we don't leave space for them, the alternative is not okay. Like, I don't want to see anyone leave this world just because they don't know how to identify themselves or they're not accepted for how they identify. Like, you're spiritual, having a human experience, and for the people that are living in this time, their human experience is something that is completely foreign to me. I don't know what they're talking about, but I have empathy, and it's sad that they might feel broken inside for whatever reason. That's the stuff that I don't like, and that's the reason I do the work that I do. Mm-hmm. I want people to feel whole and connected, because that's what kept me distant from myself for so long.
Okay.
Right?
Do you think, actually, I already know the answer. Like, obviously, writing helps you express yourself.
Oh my God, yes. You should write more, because I've read some of your writing.
Yeah, I have some stuff, but it's like, sometimes I'm just like, man, let's get bother with this world, yo. You know what I mean? I just keep it to myself, keep it to my children, whatever. They can have it, you know what I mean? But I'm going to put some stuff out. I'm going to put more stuff out, like, I got some children's book I'm trying to get it illustrated for, you know what I mean?
That's dope.
Yeah. I got some stuff down the pipeline.
It does help. It really helps to write out your feelings. When I'm in my healing and my therapy, I was doing like 34 hours of therapy a month. So if you go to a therapist one time per week, that's only 4 hours a month. But I was doing 34 hours a month of therapy. So that's a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm so grateful. I'm really grateful for that. I'm so aware of myself.
Yeah, hold on. Let's speak on that. When it comes to the quote unquote black community, you know what I mean? That's a taboo subject to go see a shrink or you know what I mean? Go sit on the couch and talk to somebody. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So to speak on that, like how did you come to that point where you're like, you know what? I have to do it and not feel a way about it and be transparent about it?
Well, I don't have much shame in general, because...
No, you don't. No, she doesn't.
I just, as you can see, I'm sharing very intimate details about my life, and it's because...
And I appreciate that. I appreciate the transparency. And it's uncomfortable for some people.
It is.
Even when I talk about the physical abuse, because that was prominent in the quote-unquote black community.
Absolutely.
Like, yo, man, we're getting thumped up.
It's true. It's true. And it's good that you can laugh about it. That's why my shows are like, there's comedy in what I do.
We can laugh about it now.
For sure. It's healing. Laughter is healing. And if you can learn to laugh at yourself, you don't take yourself so seriously.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And that's very healing and freeing as well. Yeah. But I think you hit rock bottom. And it's like there's nothing anybody can do to me that I haven't already done to myself.
How old were you when you started therapy?
Only 4 years ago.
Really?
Real therapy, yeah. I tried it when I was 11, when that situation happened to me.
That's so hard to process at 11 to go for therapy.
But I did go. I went to they had me go to a psychologist then, and what I learned in this therapeutic model of North America or Western world is that I became a spectacle, and that's probably what people don't like. I'm very introspective. I can articulate myself well. So the therapist is talking to me, but they're like, wow, who is this person? You're so interesting. And I'm not getting therapy from them. They're like just taking notes, like I felt like I was being studied. And so that's why from 11, 12 years old to like 40-something years old, no. Yeah. So I get why people don't want to go. But it's now a buzzword. So people are now engaging. We're now trying to get more black therapists. But body in itself doesn't mean that it's going to be a safer place for you. all skin folk ain't your kin folk. So you have to be careful. You look for the people.
Yeah, because there's different cultural experiences and so on and
Yeah.
so forth that comes to play when it comes to talking to somebody.
Right.
about your
So you're
experience.
looking for cultural competency
Yeah.
in the person you're speaking to. Right?
Yeah.
Somebody that's not further alienating you from yourself and your experience by virtue of trying to lay on you their perspective, the oppressor's way. Right? So, yeah, I hit rock bottom, and
in other words, a German Shepherd goes to a German Shepherd to talk, and a British Bulldog goes to a British Bulldog.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yes, except if the German Shepherd has nobody else around but a Labradoodle. Maybe the mixture in the Labradoodle helps the German Shepherd know.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm mixed up too.
They're all dogs. Again, back to what we said. We're all humans. You know what I mean? They're all dogs. It's just, you know what I mean? Whatever, find what works for you.
Yeah.
If you meet somebody that has the same cultural background as you, so be it. If not,
or even just being culturally sensitive, because, you know, we turn away from others because they're not the same as us, but really that's not the best way to do it, because anybody could talk to you and have something for you that can set you on the right path.
Man, you know how much stuff I learned from people who you didn't expect it from.
Right.
There's so much to learn. You know?
Exactly.
And there's people that you expect it from you that are like disappointed more times.
Word up.
So, well, I already know the answer to this one again. Why did you write the book? Why did you write the first book, which was Married Man and you said it.
Okay, so The Adventures of a Recovering Sex Addict, Volume 1, Married Men and Fuckboys.
Yeah.
And I wrote this book while I was trying to write my biography, which I've been trying to write forever. And it just...
That's a hard thing to write, eh?
Guy,
I've thought about it, but it's like... Where do I start?
You also don't want to blow up the spot of other people. And so it was that made me start to say, let me create a character that is based off of me, that is safer to put into... Because even, this is very conscious to make her animated. Mm-hmm. Because society in general doesn't really care that much about black women. At least I don't feel cared for by my society that I live in. However, a character of myself is a lot more accepted than me. So people think that they know me. Oh, that's L.A. You excuse it away thinking you already know. Mm-hmm. But when you see her, you're actually more curious. Mm-hmm. Her being naked on the cover has a lot to do with the way that I write. I'm very naked in the way I speak, in the way that I write.
You're blunt.
Yeah, I'm blunt, but I also have like a style about me that is very conversational. Mm-hmm. And so the book is very conversational. And people talk about when they read the book, they're like, go through it so fast because, you know, it's like they're having a conversation with someone. Mm-hmm. She's looking back because I learned very early on that while women are constantly looked at as objects, we're also subjects, and that we have something to also offer. So her looking back is looking back at the people looking at her. Mm-hmm. So it's a much deeper thing than people realize. I call my genre of books self-help erotica because, of course, you need the guilty pleasure. People want to hear about the sex and all of those things, and so I give them what they need.
Yeah, she do be doing a little bit of kiss and telling in there, but the names are, man, don't get scared.
No. And every person that I write about, I tell them.
Yeah. Okay.
I tell them that I'm writing about them.
At least you got to give a credit.
I even ask them, what do you want your name to be?
That's cool. That's really cool, yo.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
But also, like,
call me Magic Johnson.
Yes, and I will. I'll call you Magic Johnson, and then as a writer who has a great imagination, I can create a whole world around the idea of a Magic Johnson. There's a guy in the book in there who I just met. I didn't really even have an ongoing thing with him, but I met him. But he reminded me of this kind of like, I don't know, someone from a magazine. So I was like, you remind me of James Bond. And so I called him Mr. Bond. He's like, I'm like, can I write about you? And it's all embellished. Not all. Like, I met him and I thought he was hot or whatever. But the storylines are like, you're still trying to tell a story.
No, you got to make it, polish it up a little, you know what I mean?
And then that allows me to get it out of me while being... imaginative
safe.
And making sure that they're safe as well. The second book is a little bit more raw.
Okay, what's that one? What's that one called?
This one's called The Adventures of a Recovering Sex Addict, Volume 2, Friends with Benefits, but Mostly Liabilities. And that's because we can convince ourselves that we can do whatever with a friend and then it's going to be all good. But almost always there's a liability. So at the back of the book, I create a SWOT analysis. There's literally a SWOT analysis where if you do investing, you know that a SWOT requires you to check out the investment to see if it's worthy. So you look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. And if you do the same thing with your friendships, you'll be able to see who's in it for real and who you might want to just sell and get out of your life.
And that's you're just being practical.
I'm just being practical because with trauma, you can't always
we're
tell.
humans, you know what I mean? We're humans.
Yeah.
You're just being practical, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you have a certain amount of people equate their time and money. It's the same thing. Like, why would you waste your time? You're not gonna waste money. Most people don't even want to waste their money. Why would you want to waste your time? So might as well find out what you're getting into before you start putting that effort and time into it.
And when you really check for it, there's a lot of people that you think up front that you would never continue a friendship with them. But with our trauma, we're not really clear on what we're seeing. So understanding what's really going on by putting it down on paper or thinking through it more thoroughly, you might realize that what you're afraid of is something that you actually need to embrace.
How does your past impact your present dating life?
Well, I only just recently met someone who...
he's right there. Hi. I'm not going to blow up the spot. You guys can't see him, but I can see him. He's right there. Look at my eyes. Maybe you can see the respect.
Stop the madness. So I was single for 7 years. 2016, I got separated, and I've dated. I've tried to go on dates, but there's nobody that my children have ever met to say, this is my boyfriend. So they never knew. Well,
you learned from when you were 5 what your dad was doing. You're not going to be putting your children through that.
And I'm big about that. So that's a
and you know how the man that hold their mom sacred, yo.
Well, yeah. Even the ones that treat them bad, they hold them sacred.
Bro. Listen,
that's a whole other conversation because I have a lot to say to black women, black mothers that don't treat their children well. That is a whole other story, and I understand that I'm hated for a lot of the things that I put out there. They don't know how to handle my truth because it's their truth. But they're not ready yet to look at that. They want to keep it swept
under the rug.
Exactly.
But that's good. That's what when you walk with a certain light, certain people who want to be in the dark just have to stay away from you. You stay there. Whenever you're ready to come to the light, I'm here shining.
Yeah. What were we talking about? See, now I'm having the weed thought.
No. Stop. No. You talk about dating your children. And
yes. So not having somebody for so long, and then after my screening, I went on a date. The first date was just like the bomb. We went to IKEA. And we sat in one of the bedrooms.
Oh, I thought you went to go eat at IKEA.
No, well, we were going to go have cake somewhere else.
Okay.
And then he lived close to an IKEA, so we went to the IKEA instead because I didn't want to drive too far. And we went into one of the living rooms, not one of the bedrooms. Went into the living room, and we sat there like it was fully our spot. And we sat there and cock up foot on everything and had this whole...
You guys got comfortable.
People were coming in saying excuse me, can I just see the price of this? But we're just in there, right?
Moment.
Yeah. And we talked until that place shut down. They turned off the lights and then workers were walking by like, oh, you guys have to leave. So it was just one of those moments where we didn't realize we were just sitting there talking for so long. And the energy was so synergistic. And we're at the same place in our lives. And that makes a big difference. Timing is huge for when you're ready to have a relationship, a good relationship. And so, he had been single for a year. I've been single for 7 years. And we both are at a place where we just kind of know ourselves, know what we want. And he works in the industry as well, and so I see a lot of collaboration coming where I've always wanted to work with my partner. That love can go back and forth, and I'm able to share. I knew that I could introduce him to my children when we could have disagreement. And yes, it's important to have disagreement. Don't run from disagreement because you don't know how that person is until you disagree with them.
And that's how relationship goes, just like going to the gym, you need that resistance.
Yeah, you need the resistance, but respectful.
Yeah.
It's not disrespectful, it's honorable, and we've just made
But
a
if
commitment.
the person means something to you, you want that respect to be this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I wasn't sure if I was ready, but as the weeks, a good month went by with this person, and like I said, I'm older and he's older.
And you were transparent about your background and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
there's
no
just,
issue.
I know it's cliche too, when you just know, I feel completely safe with this person. This person nurtures me. He matches that thing that I said that a husband would want to. He's not my husband yet or ever. I don't know. We walk like we're partnering husband and wife.
It's not a competition.
He's not my competition. We want to see each other win.
It's somebody you're compatible.
Very much so. And so it's a love that I didn't know existed. It's a love that I'm just really grateful for, because when you've been through this shit and you get here, you can't help but just be grateful. I don't need to pop off and show off, and I'm just like, quiet love is so beautiful. What I'm experiencing behind the scenes right now is ours, and if we're going to tell our story, I'm not going to tell his story. We will tell our story.
Still water runs deep. Runs deep.
It's beautiful.
You're very transparent. Did you have any apprehension about your past in regards to your boys?
My children. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have to be. I have to be honest with them, because I want them to be honest with themselves about who they are, and I have to lead with that example. I talk about a whole bunch of things that are uncomfortable, but I give them the space to explore themselves with me, in a sense that helps them know who they are. I help them to see that love is in them, not out there. And so whatever it is, that when I was going through my problems, that love I wasn't aware of that love. But that because I went through that, I can give them the gift to find it within themselves, so that they don't have to go through what I went through. They're very supportive of me.
They were both at the premiere.
Yeah, they were both there.
And the dog,
Riley. Big up to Riley. Wow, Riley is something else. And big up to my neighbor who, he's lived next door to me for years.
Yeah, because she co-parents
with my neighbor.
Yeah.
So he's seen me go through things. He used to tell me when we got closer that he would hear me crying through the wall and hearing me talk about how I wanted to kill myself. And he's just like, crazy. It's none of my business, but like, I don't ever want to hear that this is something that you actually were able to complete. I see your sons come and go. You're a beautiful woman. I see that you're working hard. He would bring me tea every day when I'm writing. And then he also was going through his stuff. And that's, again, like, he's Turkish. And it's not a sexual relation. It's a human thing. And when you treat people with respect and love.
Was that the dude that was moving the stuff?
Yes. Yeah,
I just met him.
Yeah, and he started to invest in the business as well, so that I could throw the kind of screening that I was able to throw.
Beautiful.
So, and the first time that he met my current partner, he was just like, finally, yes, I like this one. Keep this one. He would tell me all the time, don't you dare give him the cookies. Or this one, he can't come around, and let me see what this one's all about. But the minute he shook my partner's hand, he was like, he didn't even wait to have me by myself. He's like, this one, you can keep this one. I like this guy.
Nah, when I first met him, I was like, this man's pretty chill still. I like his vibe. He said, that's really cool.
It's exactly what my soul needed.
His name suits him.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's his nickname or that's his real name. His name suits him.
It's a part of his name.
You know what I mean? Bro, your name suits me, brother. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I feel blessed.
No, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Babes, you're right. You're right. Babes.
Yes, Lynette.
The first time she's seen the man, she's like, I don't know.
Oh man, I love it.
Yeah,
she's perceptive. She's very perceptive.
Yeah.
I interviewed her once on my talk show.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you guys got to check that out.
Yeah.
So now, from being a writer of books to being a director, what was that process like, and how did that come about?
I used to dream about being a director. I used to dream like a camera lens. I used to dream like where I'd be like, oh, the camera's going past you. But it was just like me dreaming in that way, where I'd understand that I'm looking down at something. I was just like, directing was something whispered to myself that I wanted to do, but there was nobody around me that would ever affirm me in that way. So
you don't see no examples of it.
Not only did I not see examples of it, but like I was even writing, I wasn't really, encouraged within my creativity. So I never thought I was a creative person for most of my life.
That reminds me of what your mom said when she said at the premiere. She's like, I didn't know. I wasn't too sure when she started writing. I wasn't too sure how this was going to turn out. But then she's like, I'm happy how it turned out.
She said
she was a little apprehensive in the beginning.
Very apprehensive because she knows what happened in my life.
Yeah.
She's scared that I'm gonna like reveal too much but she's like, you told that story so tastefully.
When I was telling her, I'm so proud of the whole work that was done for that. Like the end result looked great. When I went to the premiere, I was just like, you just never know. Is it going to be a Tubi level thing or is it going to be Netflix? I don't know what the scale is.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to say I was pleasantly surprised and everything looked proper, like up to par.
Yeah.
Industry standard on everything.
I take a lot of pride in that, and I'm really grateful to like Casey, my production manager.
Yeah, shout out to Casey.
Yeah, and even Carlos, who wrote the grant with me to get that money to do. At the end of the day, it's my story. So, yes, a grant writer is important.
So that's part of the process I was just talking about. So you have to get yourself a grant writer when you realize you have to.
Even before the grant writer, I had written with Sheldon Shaw from Potential Films. We had written like a brief idea of what a script would look like because I've always wanted to make it into a movie, even before the books were anything. And I knew that I wanted it to be like a therapy group, and so we submitted that with the grant. But before we submitted it, we did what's called a proof of concept, where we did a ghetto version of what we thought the movie would look like. So the movie looking like that, and then with the script, and then the work that I had been doing over the past few years, they were like, wow, we want to give this the opportunity to see where it can
So from the
become.
time you came out with the book and the time you got the green light to do the movie, how long was it?
I applied for the grant at the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2022. And then I started writing the book in July, finished it in October, and I got word that I got the grant to do it in 2023. So then in May of 2023, we started to do the movie, and right after we cut with the movie, I began writing the next book because I knew I wanted to release the book and the movie at the same time. And you have a momentum. And I have the momentum, and I wanted it to be a series so that if it's based off of my books, the more books I write, the more content that they have to make a series out of it.
Exactly.
And so my next book will have to now introduce, characters from the movie so that I can continue to write what's going on and not just make it about Cali Church, but all of the characters that are in the movie.
Do you like writing or directing better? Which one do you like better?
I see it as the same. I'm also kind of like an editor, even though I don't physically know how to edit.
But you see it in your mind.
Yeah, so I write and direct and edit kind of simultaneously.
No, that makes sense because when we film, like me and my homie Dayton, when we film, that's what we're doing. We don't have to make too many edits on the editing board.
Yeah.
So we start editing as we're filming. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is what we really want.
Yeah, and then you just never know. And when you have the right DOP, shout out to movie maker Mitch, who was a part of this process of Thirsty as Fuck. He knew that I didn't have a lot of experience. This was my first movie, first time writing a screenplay, first time directing.
Yeah. You did it big. You stepped up.
Listen, it's from watching all those TV shows and all those movies.
It paid off. It
paid off. So that's why I don't get on my son too much for playing video games too much because he's also an artist, and I'm like, you got to just translate that into creating.
My youngest son is like that. He's Gadget. That should be his nickname, Gadget.
Yeah, you should call him that.
He's Gadget.
I like that name.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's having a DOP that you can work with that understands your vision and what you're trying to communicate. Because everything is storytelling. Yes, I've written something, but the way you shoot something is also a story. The music you put to it is also a story.
Yeah, the score was dope too. You guys did. You guys did.
Perfect.
You know
Listen,
what? You guys did it big. I can't even front. You guys did it proper, yo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got the laughs, you got the drama, like you got everything in there. You guys did it.
Thank you.
I expect more episodes for
now
sure.
The pressure is on.
No. Not on you. It's
No.
them networks out there. Whoever it is, you guys are talking to.
HBO Max. Let's go.
Come on. You guys waste money on
enough things, right?
Crap.
But I'm also very interested in documentary work, because that educated side of me, the way that I love my community, I have to investigate from that perspective as well. So my next adventure is something I call Can You Hear Me Now? Or Can You Hear Us Now? And I had done a little proof of concept with Selena Caesar-Chavannes, who was the parliamentary secretary to Justin Trudeau.
Okay.
She wrote a book about her experience in Parliament, and she went into Parliament and talked about her dope braids, and it went viral. She was talking about her, and I was like, this is the first time in Canadian history that I'm interested in politics because of this woman. And so now I'm realizing that there are politicians, there's influencers, there's interesting people like yourself that need to be spoken to in a way that if no one's listening to you and you have the opportunity to be heard, what would you say? And so this idea that our community doesn't listen to one another because everybody wants to be heard, well, let me provide a space where people can be heard so that we can get to a place of action and fixing what's going on. That's the idea behind it.
Well, that's the issue with this so-called black, quote-unquote, black NGOs here. It's like everybody's running to do the same thing, running the same pot, trying to get the same money. Why don't you guys just sit down first? Everybody get under the same roof. Work together, get that money, talk, and let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Instead of just, you have your organization, now everybody's fighting to get money, bureaucracy.
It's ridiculous.
This is why I have apprehension about doing what you did, because it's like there's so much bureaucracy behind
You just got it. You're doing it for you.
Yeah,
That's the other
so
thing.
much.
Like, I didn't create this. I created it for people, but this has healed me
Like, I
in
could
ways.
imagine a month of phone calls and emails and
like, there's tons of work.
stuff that you had to
work.
do behind the scenes to get that movie out.
I meditated for a whole month before I said action. Like, remember, I wasn't buying the food because I needed to clear myself.
Center yourself.
Yeah, I really needed to clear myself and get ready for what I think always kind of long term. I know where I want to be, and so therefore I act accordingly. I have to raise my own bar. If I know I want to go here, then I have to bring myself up to there
and match the energy.
Even that's what's not going on in my present. I always want to present myself in a certain way because I know where I want to go, and therefore I'm going to go there, because I don't say something and then not do it.
Okay, we're almost done. So, one question I want to ask you before we step out. A couple questions. What advice would you give somebody who has a story to tell like yourself?
To not abandon yourself or center yourself in the process of creating it. Be true to who you are and just write it down. And if you need to edit it later, then edit it later. But give yourself the freedom to do it the first time, getting it all out and being true. Because there's a part of you inside that wants to be validated. You want to reconcile certain things. And so give yourself that opportunity and the permission to love yourself through the word.
If you could send a message or advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Well, I wish I didn't abandon myself all these years, but I didn't know. So I would just tell her that it's gonna to just be aware that there's gonna be a lot of pitfalls, and that you're gonna be okay. Like, just keep going through it no matter what. And I've always been dedicated to my community, so in a sense I always knew that I was gonna die empty. So just know that. It's kind of like if you're working out and you're like, how many more reps? I'm good that way. If I know that I only have 10 more reps, then I'll get through the 10 more reps. But if I don't know what's happening, so maybe it's set goals and keep working towards one goal after the next.
For sure. You know what I mean? It's one step at a time.
One step at a time.
That's what I mean. Spiritually and mentally, how has these years... Spiritually and mentally, how has these years on this journey have had an impact on you?
I've never been closer to God. And I think that I've always been close to God. And it's beautiful. I've learned to embrace my duality.
I get the sense you're in a real comfortable space.
I am. I really know myself, like I said. And I've reconciled the duality. We try to fight against the contradictions of who we are. We're hypocrites.
Your dark side.
Yeah. It's kind of like this goal thing. You know, I want to be here as a person. And everything that I do is towards trying to be that person. And am I good every single time? No. And I used to beat myself up all the time about not being perfect. Give yourself grace. Learn how to forgive. Study how to love people. Like, really study what that means. It's not about the words. Love is action, right? So learn how to love in action. That's what I want for people. Yeah,
a lot of people use that three-letter words to deceive you too much, yo. You know what I mean? They just like to throw it out there.
And then they deceive themselves.
Yeah. Hey, fam, where's that book? Oh, there it is. Yeah, just the book. And I need a pen. It's in my bag. Give thanks, fam.
What is this book?
So, yo, because of the pandemic, I was on a road. It's right in the front, like, yeah. So, the people I interview, so the idea is, because the premises of my book is like me writing my daughter based on the fact that I didn't know what the future held for us, right? And now, the people who I've been interviewing, when I first started interviewing people, I would get them to write down a message, you know what I mean? Talking about, like, what would you say to your children knowing that you're not going to see them for a long time? What advice would you give them?
God, that's heavy, man. That's heavy. You expect me to just do that just so?
Just a little something, you know? Just keep it blunt. You know you can do it. Keep it blunt and sweet and short.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, like, I've had different people writing to this, you know.
Yeah.
And why you write that? Before you write that, one last question. What's next for your enterprise?
What's next? So February 1st and 2nd. Actually, we're going out to the University of Manitoba to talk about Black men and mental health with the barbershop talks out there at the University of Manitoba with Professor Warren Clark.
That's where my Empress is from. You know
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It's cold out there.
It is, yeah.
So we'll be there on the 29th, and then February 1st and 2nd.
You say we. Who's we?
My company.
Okay. Do your thing.
I
was thinking about the movie. Like,
well, that's the idea. So that they're inviting us out there so that they can get familiar with who I am and what I'm doing, and then they plan on bringing us back in February to do the What Do You Thirst For tour.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So and somebody hit us up from Jamaica and wants to bring us around the Jamaica to do, and these kind of conversations that I have in the Caribbean will be really interesting because, you know, just like Africa, the Caribbean, they may not be ready.
It might be taboo stuff. Yeah.
Somehow they think that I am and I think so too. You know.
Well, somebody down there is forward thinking, so maybe they feel like the people are ready.
Yeah.
Because we're not really down there like that.
Yeah.
So whoever's bringing you down there must feel like they're ready.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. That and I've reconciled within myself that even though it's hard, I do have the grace to talk about this and to allow everyone to be heard and to hopefully make people feel safe.
Okay. And then on the 1st, February 1st? February
1st is Professor James Small. He's a Pan-Africanist professor of African spirituality, African American history, and he specifically is the historical consultant to The Godfather of Harlem, which is a really popular show series, 3 seasons. The 4th season is starting to be written now, it was Malcolm X in the beginning, and now they're on to the Black Panther Party. And so we're having a discussion and dinner, I'm filming it as a part of my next documentary. Okay. So it's a docuseries that I would like to see on Netflix or something where we're hearing what our voices are saying.
So people can get tickets or...
Yeah, just go to thisislaway.com and you'll be able to, see the journey of the tour, the journey of the books, the journey of
So they can get the tickets
everything.
for that event.
Yes, you can get the tickets there. I hope you're going to be there because I think
Yeah.
I think you're really going to like this person.
I'm gonna see if I can pull up. So.
And I really hope that you get the opportunity to do this with him because your audience would really resonate with it's like seeing Malcolm X speak. It's like Dr. Claude Anderson. We understand the larger impact of what the society has done to people who look like us. And once you know yourself better, you're empowered to do so much more.
Okay. So aside from the tours and you,
the books,
you bringing people up for events, what's going on with the movie?
Thursday AF.
Basically, the movie was a pilot.
The movie was the pilot, so we have to go. I can't release it as a movie yet until I finish the film festival circuit. Mm-hmm. So we've applied to all the film festivals. Our first one that we got accepted into was in New York for the Women's International Film Festival. Real World has already said after seeing the screening, make sure you put this in our film festival. I'm really hoping that we get into the American Black Film Festival that's headed by Issa Rae this year in June. My partner in life and in my business now has helped me reduce the film to 20 minutes because it's 38 minutes and a lot of short films have to hit a certain time. So we've been working on that so that we could submit it to more film festivals.
That's interesting. I wonder what it looks like now.
Man, it's like it's the same movie, but so much of it is gone. It's like, it's hard to do something like that. But
and that's what it comes down to with the whole editing thing. It's like, there's so much trimming that goes on.
Yes, and so there's so many ways to tell stories. So even though we cut out half the movie, I think we were still left with something that is like, it's concise and I just hope that it shows them how they can take this. Because you watch it and you know that it's a pilot. I'm not trying to like make it look like some profound
So you couldn't
film.
break it up in two and just make it a two-part thing?
Not this one, but you know what? I have so many experiences that I've been writing episodes like crazy. I have a whole deck.
You're good.
We know what we got to do.
You got slugs in the clip.
Yeah,
you got slugs in the clip.
Definitely.
Okay. All right, it's great to have you here, and I look forward to all your endeavors. I know
I appreciate
you're doing your thing. You're stepping. You're stepping out there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I remember one post. I was like, you on fire, yo. One of your homegirls, I think it was Francie. She's like, she's been on fire. Okay, relax,
It's true. Big up to my she just had a baby.
Oh, the baby came?
Yeah, Inaya. We were with her last night.
Salute to her,
babysitting.
Ricardo.
Big up yourself, Bukan.
So, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is really actually really nice.
Podcast, LA Wade. The books, you can get it on our website. What's the website again?
This is LA Wade.
And what's your handle, like social media and all that stuff?
This is LA Wade Inc. and at the Cocktail brand. And when I say cocktail, I'm not talking about the kind you drink. I'm talking about the stories you tell. So it's COCKTALE, the Cocktail brand. And you can follow my books and the adventures of Cali Church through the Cocktail brand. Okay,
you already know. Thank you guys again for joining us. 27th Letter Podcast, LA Wade, Land Running in the Big. Peace. All right, do your thing right.
Thank you so much. That was actually really helpful.